Greetings, my peeps, and welcome to the All Things Basketball Podcast with your boy GD. In this episode, I'll be doing my Week 14 recap, and it will be, of course, Players of the Week. Also, Golden State goes to Washington, the passing of a longtime Celtic, and, of course, the third round of All-Star voting will break that down as well. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Okay, guys, so it is week 14 in the NBA. Well, guys, we're more than halfway through this NBA season. So let's get into it. There's a lot of news, so let's get straight into it, shall we? First off, we start off with our player of the week, as always, in the East and Western Conference. In the West, Domantas Sabonis of the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings, man, they have been balling. I'll talk about them later, but Domantas Sabonis playing with that injured thumb and just coming through for his team last week. Team went 4-0. They beat Orlando. They beat Houston twice, and they beat San Antonio. So, I mean, they didn't beat powerhouses for the week, but hey, you play what's on your schedule. So, and they went 4-0. So, kudos to them. Sabonis for the week, 18.5 points per game, over 14 rebounds, and over 10 assists. So, he averaged a triple-double for the week. So, Domantas Sabonis getting it in, and hopefully we'll see his face at the All-Star game in Utah. So he shot it just about 52% from the field and 76% from the free throw line. So Domantas Sabonis getting it in for his team. And then in the East, Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson for the New York Knicks. I told you last week he was balling, so he went 3-1. They beat Indiana, Washington, and Detroit. Again, not the powerhouses, but you'll take the wins as they come. They did lose at the beginning of the week to Milwaukee, so in a close one there. He averaged for the week nearly 35 points per game, including a career high of 44 that he got against Milwaukee, in fact. Nearly 6 rebounds and 5 assists per game. He shot it 51.6% from the field. That's pretty good. And he shot it over almost 51% from the 3-point range. So you talk about being dead-eye. And then from the free throw line, this is what he did for the week, guys. He made 34 attempts from the free throw line. He only missed one. So he went 33 for 34 for the week. And that comes to 97% from free throw line. So Jalen Brunson with a fantastic week. And once again, fortifying the Knicks' interest in him, and he has come through in spades for this team. So that's your players of the week. Now, let's get into Monday news. And the Monday games, actually. So Monday was Martin Luther King birthday, so we'll cover just about every game for that day, in fact. So one bit of news before we get into that. The Atlanta Hawks promote Kyle Korver to assistant GM. Kyle Korver, they hired in July of 2022 to be their director of player affairs and development. So Kyle Korver gets a bump up to assistant GM. So kudos to him. So that's your news. So let's talk about the game, shall we? Jason Tatum, 51 points. He drops as Boston wins on the road versus Charlotte 130 to 118. So Jason Tatum, remember, they're going to be without the services of Jalen Brown for a little while, so they need guys to step up, and Jason Tatum, why not him? So 51 for him on the week. Out of that 51, he shot 7 threes, and then add to that 9 rebounds and 5 assists. So for Charlotte, Jalen McDaniels, he's been hot as of late, and thankfully so, because you got LaMelo Ball that's ailing there. So that's it helps for him to step up there. And speaking of LaMelo Ball, he's in this game, 25 points. Actually, no, I believe it was Gordon Hayward that was banged up. So 26 for McDaniels, and he hit 5 threes. LaMelo Ball, 25 points for him. He also hit 5 threes, along with 6 assists and 5 rebounds. So, but Boston gets the win. Moving on, Drew Holiday. You'll hear that name a lot in these updates here. So, Drew Holiday goes for 35 points, 11 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, as Milwaukee beats Indiana 132 to 119. And for Milwaukee, there was no Giannis. He missed his 3rd straight game with that knee soreness, so he's out of commission. But Drew Holiday coming through for the team. For the Pacers, Miles Turner. We continue to hear trade talk about him and so forth, being that, free agency's coming. But in this game, 30 points. He hits 5 threes, along with 8 rebounds and 4 block shots. So Miles Turner, pretty much doing Miles Turner things here. So TJ McConnell, he's stepped up big time in the absence of Tyrese Halliburton. And this is what he does from the bench. 29 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds, and 3 steals. So TJ McConnell, for those that play fantasy basketball, scoop him up now while Halliburton's on the mend. So definitely want to do that. So that's the result of that game. And one of the marquee matchups of the day, Cleveland takes care of the New Orleans Pelicans 113 to 103. And in that game, Darius Garland, he had 30 points, along with 11 assists and 6 rebounds. Jared Allen, their fine center there, 24 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals for him. So pretty good there. And then for the Pelicans, CJ McCollum, I've been banging the drum for him, guys. 25 points. And then Giannis Valanciunas, 22 points for him, 13 rebounds. So Cleveland gets that win. In overtime, the Toronto Raptors gets by the New York Knicks 123 to 121. And for the Raptors, Fred VanVleet, they're starting to hear rumblings of him being moved at the trade deadline. 33 points for him. He drops 5 threes in this game, along with 8 assists, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. Scotty Barnes, 26 points for him, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks in the game. R.J. Barrett has a fine performance. For some reason, R.J. Barrett really steps up when he plays Toronto, being, he's a Canadian kid. 32 points with 7 rebounds. Jalen Brunson, 26 points and 7 rebounds for him. Julius Randle didn't have such a great game. He did have 21 points, but he did it on 7 of 20 shooting and 1 of 6 from 3-point range. So not the greatest of games for Randall. He did get 15 rebounds and 8 assists. So, but the Knicks take a loss there. Steph Curry explodes for 41. So welcome back, Steph. Along with, of those, 6 3-pointers, along with 7 rebounds, as Golden State gets the road win versus the Wizards, 127-118. So Steph getting back into the swing of things, it seems. So Steph doing his thing there. Jordan Poole, 32 points for him. There was no Clay in this game. You remember they're managing him as far as his injuries go. But Jordan Poole, 7 threes amongst 32 points with 7 rebounds and 2 steals. Kristaps Porzingis, been talking about him a lot recently. 32 points for him with 5 rebounds. So, in their annual MLK Day game that they always host in the home state of Martin Luther King Jr., and that's in Atlanta. So Atlanta gets the win over Miami, 121-113. In that game, DeJounte Murray, 28 points for him. And of those, he has 5 3-pointers, along with 7 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals. Trae Young, 24 points and 8 assists. And on the losing side, Jimmy Butler for the Heat, 34 points. So that's the inaugural game that Atlanta always plays in Atlanta on Martin Luther King Day. Walker Kessler, that's a name we don't talk about much. Walker Kessler puts up 20 points along with 21 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks as Utah squeezes by the Timberwolves 126-125. And Kessler actually led 7 players in double figures for the Utah Jazz. Anthony Edwards leads the way for the Timberwolves. He's been doing that a lot lately. 29 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals in the game. The Memphis Grizzlies, they win their 10th in a row. Talk about a hot team. This is a hot team. As they beat the Phoenix Suns 136-106. And in that game, Ja Morant pretty much doing him. 29 points, 7 assists. Of those 29 points, 5 3-pointers. Desmond Bane, he's back to being his old self. 28 points, 6 assists, and 2 steals. Jarrett Jackson Jr. I want to do a mea culpa before I talk about him. I named my mid-season awards and was scrambling to find a defensive player of the year, so I said OG Anunoby. I want to scratch that. Jarrett Jackson Jr., I think, if health holds up, I think he ends up winning defensive player of the year. 18 points, 8 rebounds, 6 block shots, and 2 steals. He's been putting up those type of numbers pretty much since he's come back, in fact. So I'm doing a mea culpa, guys. This guy, I think, he's my mid-season defensive player of the year, and I think if everything shakes out, he'll get it when all is said and done. So I know I got another half of the season to go, but my early bets are on him. So I wanted to get that out the way. So that's the story for Memphis, a game in which it was close in the first half, but Memphis explodes in the second half, outscoring the Suns 68-41. Thus, taking care of business. LeBron James, man, this guy is defying all nature and everything else. He goes nuclear here. 48 points with 9 assists and 8 rebounds. And of the 48 points, he has 5 3-pointers. So, and he's been flirting with that triple-double all season long, but he hasn't been getting it. But I tell you what, he's been tearing it up as far as scoring goes. As the Lakers pull off the road win versus the Rockets, 140-132. Man, these scores are just like crazy. And also in that game, Russell Westbrook, my early returns 6th man of the year, 24 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists for him. And then leading the way for the Houston Rockets, Alperen Sengun, 33 points, 15 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 blocks, man. I tell you what, this guy has been playing well as of late. He's been tearing it up, guys. But nonetheless, the Lakers get the win. Let's move on to Tuesday action. Not much going on Tuesday, just 4 games. We'll talk about pretty much all of them. So all of them pretty much carry some weight here. But we'll talk about news first. The Golden State Warriors, being that they're in Washington, the night before they win in Washington, they visit the White House. They visit the White House to be celebrated as the title champions in the NBA. So they visit the White House. They present jerseys to President Biden with the number 46 and to Kamala Harris, Oakland's very own. So big time Warriors fan. So I'm sure it was a delight for her to be there. So Golden State, they make the visit to the White House. Former Utah coach Quin Synder serves as director of the Basketball African League Combine that's being held in Paris for 2 days. So he calls it a personal sabbatical. And then remember, there's the game on Thursday that's going to be there between Chicago and Detroit. So getting ahead of things, the NBA has this combine for the African League, which they are fully behind, by the way. So Quin Synder, I think a coaching opportunity will come for him. Probably not until the off season, but he's a guy who should be employed as a coach somewhere. So it'll be interesting to see where he lands. But I think going into next season, he'll have a job somewhere. I'm pretty sure of that. And last bit of news, Mike Malone, the coach of the Denver Nuggets, he enters health and safety protocols. So Mike Malone will be sidelined for a bit. So bear that in mind, guys. So all right. So let's talk about the games. Drew Holiday, I told you we'll be talking about him a lot this week. He continues his great week with 37 points. Among that, 5 3-pointers, along with 7 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, as Milwaukee defeats Detroit 130-122. So Drew Holiday continues his fantastic week. Grayson Allen, the person who's now the subject of trade rumors, 25 points for him and 5 rebounds. And on the losing side for the Raptors, Fred VanVleet, 39 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists for him. And of the 39, he shot 6 3-pointers. So Fred VanVleet, heating up, and we'll see what happens with him come the trade deadline. Keldon Johnson scores a career-high 36 points, along with 11 rebounds and 4 steals, as the San Antonio Spurs overtake the Brooklyn Nets 106-98. A game that I watched, guys. A few of these games I did watch, but this one I did watch because I was interested to see. I knew there would be no Kyrie. Kyrie had calf soreness, so he was going to be out. So I knew Ben Simmons would be back. And I was saying to myself, okay, they don't have the services of Kyrie. You already know about KD, him being out with the MCL. What is Simmons going to do here? So this is what he did. 10 points. He did that on 4 of 10 shooting, by the way. 11 assists, 10 rebounds. So he gets the triple-double. The kind of unconventional triple-double, but triple-double nonetheless. Along with 4 steals and 2 blocks. Still not what you want for a player of his talent. You would think he could muster up at least 20 points for this Brooklyn Nets team, but that's not the case. TJ Warren actually from the bench leads them in scoring with 19 points and 5 rebounds. So the Nets taking on water right now without KD, and San Antonio gets the win. Nikola Jokic has his 13th triple-double of the season. 36 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, as Denver wins 14 straight at home, beating Portland 122-113. So, don't look now. Denver, the number 1 team in the West. Michael Porter Jr., 23 points for him to help the Nuggets there. And then Dame Lillard, he actually explodes for 44 points in the loss. Among that, 6 3-pointers, along with 8 assists for him. So, but Denver, the top team in the West, getting it done. And then the last game, Joel Embiid drops 41 points, along with 9 rebounds, 2 blocks for Phillies 120-110 win at the Clippers. So they get the road win, Philadelphia does, beating the Clippers. Along with that, Tyrese Maxey, 22 points for him off the bench. And leading the way for the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard starting to heat up a bit. 27 points with 4 rebounds. So that is your Tuesday news. Now let's move on to Wednesday, where you have 9 games. But the big news coming out of Wednesday, former Boston Celtic Chris Ford passes away at age 74 after complications from a heart attack that he suffered earlier in the month of January. So let's talk about Chris Ford, shall we? He's a 6'5" guard coming out of Atlantic City, New Jersey. He went to Holy Spirit High School in Absecon, New Jersey. That's like a suburb outside of Atlantic City there. And his career, 1,507 points, is still a school record at Holy Spirit High School. So he gets recruited to play at Villanova. He plays there, and back in those days, you don't play the freshman year, your junior varsity, then sophomore year you play. But nonetheless, he leads them to 7 straight NCAA tournament appearances. Including a run to the finals versus the UCLA Bruins. And remember the UCL teams that were powerhouses back then, so his Villanova team ran smack dab into them and lost in the finals. And he did also lose to St. Bonaventure's in the regional finals, actually against Bob Lanier, a future teammate of his that he'll be teamed up with. So, but his career average at Villanova, 15.8 points per game, along with 6 rebounds. So he was the 17th pick overall, going in the second round, and taken by the Detroit Pistons in the 1972 draft. So he goes to the Pistons 2 years after they draft Bob Lanier. So thus them being teammates. Went to 4 straight playoffs from 1974 through 1977. His best season there was in 1976-77, where he averaged 12.3 points per game, over 4 assists, over 3 rebounds, and 2.2 steals. And his 179 steals was actually 7th in the league. So early in the 1977-78 season, he gets traded to Boston along with a second round pick for Earl Tatum. And then he spends the rest of his 10-year career there. So spends about 4 seasons or so in Boston. And once the NBA changed the rules and incorporated the 3-point shot, which they adopted from the ABA, in fact. So in the first game on October 12th, 1979, Chris Ford makes the NBA's first 3-pointer. So he's in the record books, Chris Ford, as the first player to make a 3-point shot. He would later, he would later win a championship with Boston in 1981. He retires after the 1981-82 season. He quickly becomes an assistant coach there in Boston under the likes of Casey Jones and also Jimmy Rogers. And he was with Casey when Boston won the championships in 1984 and then in 1986. He becomes the head coach of Boston in 1990 after Jimmy Rogers gets fired. He coaches them from 1990 up until 1995. He would later coach the Milwaukee Bucks, the Los Angeles Clippers, and the Philadelphia 76ers. And he actually coached the Eastern squad in the 1991 All-Star game, a game in which the East won 116 to 114. So he had success there. He had a brief stint as a college coach at Brandeis University. He would later become a scout for the Philadelphia 76ers and a coaching consultant with the New York Knicks. I didn't even know that one. So he played in the league 10 years, and he coached for 30. His overall record, 323 wins against 376 losses. So that gives him a percentage of 46.2%. So that's pretty much the career of Chris Ford. Chris Ford, may you rest in peace, and we acknowledge you for all that you contributed to the league in both as a player and as a coach. So that's the news for Wednesday, guys. So let's talk about the games. Atlanta wins 4 straight as they beat Dallas on the road 130 to 122. And in that game, DeJounte Murray, he's been hot, man. He's a guy knocking on the door of being an all-star in the East. 30 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. His backcourt mate, Trae Young, 18 points, 12 assists, 4 rebounds, 3 steals. It's going to be pretty interesting because more likely than not, neither one will start. So does the coaches vote in both those guys in the backcourt? We'll see. And then for Dallas in the loss, Luka Doncic, 30 points for him, along with 8 assists and 4 rebounds. Bradley Beal makes his return back to the court after missing 8 of 9 games with injury, as Washington beats the Knicks 116 to 105. A game that sure was 11-point victory, but it wasn't even close. They pretty much led from beginning to end in this game. Bradley Beal actually in the game had 18 points, 4 rebounds, and he had 4 assists as well. Kyle Kuzma led the way though. 27 points, 13 rebounds, 7 assists. Kyle Kuzma kind of quietly having a solid year. For the Knicks, Jalen Brunson, 32 points, 4 assists, 2 steals for him. And actually in this game, Mitchell Robinson injures his thumb. So and he does that in like the first few minutes of the game. So in the first quarter. So I'll give you an injury report on him as we move along. So the Knicks take another loss. LaMelo Ball, he re-injures his ankle as the Charlotte Hornets defeat the Houston Rockets on the road 122 to 117. So, and then LaMelo Ball, I give you an update on him as well in his injury. But it's probably going to be a while before we see him again, guys. By the way, with this win for Charlotte, Steve Clifford, he becomes the winningest coach for the Hornets in the history of the Hornets. So, and he does that with 208 wins. So, congrats to Steve Clifford. But leading the way for the Hornets, Terry Rozier, 26 points, 6 assists, 2 steals. So he will be the guy now that LaMelo Ball is down. So he'll be the go-to guy now. And for the Rockets, Jalen Green, man, he's been putting up some numbers. 41 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds. And Alperen Sengun, I've been talking about him endlessly. 24 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals for him. So Memphis wins 11 in a row on a Steven Adams tip-in with 16 seconds left in the 116-115 win for them over the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland played without Donovan Mitchell. He has that strained groin that he's been kind of dealing with. So Desmond Bane leads the way, 25 points, among that 5 threes, along with 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Ja Morant, 24 points and 8 assists. Jaren Jackson Jr., you heard me talk about him previously. 15 points, 7 rebounds, 4 blocks, 2 steals. Again, my from my early returns, he's Defensive Player of the Year. And then in the losing effort, Darius Garland, 24 points, 14 assists, 5 rebounds, 2 steals for the Cavaliers. Lauri Markkanen, a guy who needs to be in the All-Star game, especially given the fact that is in Salt Lake City. He has 34 points, among that 6 3-pointers, 12 rebounds, 2 blocks, and his return back to the lineup as Utah crushes the LA Clippers 126-103. So Lauri Markkanen comes back in a big way, guys. Leading the way for the Clippers, Norman Powell. He's been hot from the bench. 30 points, and among that 7 3-pointers. And in this game, there was no Kawhi or Paul George. Of course, managing their injuries. So, Nikola Jokic, he sets another record, guys. He's now the all-time leader in assists for the Denver Nuggets franchise, becoming the first center to lead a ball club in assists all time. So I found that amazing. But yeah, so he's the first center to do so, and he passes Alex English. And Alex English, of course, being class personified, congratulates him on social media, and I'm sure those guys will come face to face, and he'll acknowledge him. And also, he gets another triple-double, by the way, his 14th, with 31 points, 13 assists, 11 rebounds, as the Denver Nuggets reach 15 wins at home, 122-118 over the Timberwolves. Also in that game, Jamal Murray, 28 points, 4 assists, and 2 steals in the game. So, Sacramento Kings, another hot team, wins 5 in a row with a 116-111 win over the Lakers at the Crypto Center. So, and they win this game actually without Domantas Sabonis. So, he gets a day of rest, to go easy on that thumb of his. De'Aaron Fox leads the way with 31 points, 6 assists. And then for the Lakers, LeBron James, 32 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds. So once again, he flirts with a triple-double. Russell Westbrook from the bench, 19 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists for him. So that is your your Wednesday slate. So here's what I'm going to do. How many games? 5 games for Wednesday. Yes, so here's what we'll do. I'll cut it off here, and then we'll have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to do. It's not a whole slate of games here, but should be able to get through it. You know what? I'm making an executive decision here. We'll do Thursday, and then we'll break for Friday, because there's some stuff I need to deal with. So, all right. So let's talk about Thursday real quick. There were 5 games, but we have to talk about the All-Star voting results. So let's start with this is the 3rd round, guys. So coming this week, we'll at least know the starters for week 15, and I'll have that for you. So the front court in the West, you still have LeBron, the leading vote getter in the West, followed by the Joker, Nikola Jokic, then followed by Anthony Davis, and then Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson is about less than 80,000 votes away from Anthony Davis. So that could be down to the wire where it could be a coin flip with those guys. So we'll see what happens come next week, Thursday. So, and then after that, you have in fifth, Andrew Wiggins, sixth, Paul George, seventh, Lauri Markkanen, eighth, Draymond Green, ninth, Kevon Looney, and then 10th, Domantas Sabonis. So, and then among the West guards, I think it's pretty much locked up, guys. Number one is Steph. Number two, Luka Doncic. Then after that, you got Ja Morant. Then after him, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Fifth, Klay Thompson. Sixth, Russell Westbrook. Seventh, Dame Lillard. Eighth, still mind-boggling, Austin Reeves. Ninth, Devin Booker. And 10th, De'Aaron Fox. So that's how that shakes out. But I think the backcourt is set. It's just a matter of the front court, how that's going to work out. So for the Eastern Conference front court, you have Giannis. Right now, he's the number one vote getter. He actually overtakes Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is behind him, less than 150,000 votes. So if it stands, then Giannis will get to be the captain and pick the players and so forth. So it's Giannis, KD, and then in third, Jason Tatum still holding firm at third, but that is actually right now Joel Embiid is about less than 210,000 votes from Tatum. So could that flip? It's possible. We'll see. But again, the results will be in this coming Thursday. So following Embiid, Jimmy Butler, 6th, Pascal Siakam, 7th, Kyle Kuzma, 8th, Paolo Banchero, 9th, Julius Randle, and 10th, Nick Claxton. Eastern guards, that's pretty much locked up. Kyrie first, along with Donovan Mitchell second. Then after that, you got Jaylen Brown. 4th, James Harden. 5th, Trae Young. 6th, DeMar DeRozan. Again, he should be amongst the front court people, but I digress. 7th, LaMelo Ball. 8th, Tyrese Halliburton. 9th, still Derrick Rose. And then 10th, Darius Garland. So that is your All-Star voting there, guys. Okay, so and like I said, this coming Thursday we'll get to know who the starters are for sure. Other news, injury news. Mitchell Robinson out at least 3 weeks with that injured thumb, so he's going to be sidelined for 3 weeks. The Knicks are going to have to scramble. They'll be using the likes of Isaiah Hartenstein and Jericho Sims will have to man the fort until Mitchell Robinson comes back. So we'll see what happens there. Christian Wood out at least a week, and he has an injured thumb. So not as bad as Mitchell Robinson, thankfully. So, but he'll miss a week. So, which is not the greatest of news for Dallas. He is their legit big man over there. So, I mean, you got others who can fill in, but yeah, that's not going to be an easy go of it. And then the NBA announces that it's launching an alternative telecast called Throw It Down with Bill Walton. And it's going to be on the NBA League Pass through the NBA app. So, and actually the first game was done on January 23rd. And it'll be 5 games that this alternate telecast will be covering. So, just a few games. And among his first guests will be Dr. J as well as Phil Knight of Nike. So Bill Walton, he's a character, that's for sure. I enjoyed him back in the day with his very colorful analysis. He'll make you laugh. And on the play-by-play, actually, with him will be Jason Benetti doing play-by-play. So if you're interested in that, guys, if you got the League Pass and you got the NBA app, you can check out this alternate telecast. So, all right, let's talk about some games right quick. Zach LaVine goes for 30 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, as Chicago gets the win in Paris over the Detroit Pistons, 126-108. So Chicago gets the win overseas. Also, DeMar DeRozan, 26 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. And then leading the way for the Pistons, Bojan Bogdanovic, 25 points and 5 rebounds. And actually in attendance at the game, the projected number 1 pick in the draft, Vincent Wembanyama. So he was at the game courtside. So sure we'll be seeing him lace him up in the NBA in the near future. So that's your game from Paris. In a finals rematch, Boston beats Golden State in overtime, 121-118. And actually, in this game, Jalen Brown makes his return from that groin injury. And in the game, he has 16 points, 9 rebounds. But it's Jason Tatum with his 34 points, 19 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals that helped propel Boston. For Golden State, Steph Curry, 29 points, 5 threes for him, along with 7 assists, 4 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 blocks, so a full line for Steph. Klay Thompson, 24 points and 2 steals. And then you have Jordan Poole, 24 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. And actually all 3 of these guys started. They actually went with a small lineup. So it was Steph, Klay, and Poole, along with Draymond Green and Andrew Wiggins. So kind of went small there and helped for a little bit, but in the end, Boston prevails. So, all right. So in a game that had no CP3 or Devin Booker, the Phoenix Suns take care of the Brooklyn Nets, 117-112. And again, they did. In this game, they got Kyrie back from his calf soreness, but they still take the L. Mikal Bridges, 28 points, 9 rebounds. DeAndre Ayton had his way inside, 24 points, 14 rebounds, and 4 assists for him. And actually, Cameron Johnson, he returned back to the lineup. He was out for a while with that meniscus tear, so he plays in this game. He actually has 19 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 blocks. So, Kyrie Irving, 30 points for him, along with 7 assists, 7 rebounds, 4 steals, and 2 blocks. And also, Ben Simmons, he actually gets ejected in this game. He plays only 18 minutes, scores 7 points, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds. In a game where his services are much needed, Ben Simmons gets ejected. So, interesting stuff there for the Brooklyn Nets, who takes the loss. And then Philly wins 4 in a row as they get the road victory versus Portland, 105-95. Joel Embiid, 32 points, 9 rebounds, 3 blocks. James Harden gets the triple-double, 16 points, 14 assists, 10 rebounds. And then in the loss, Dame Lillard, 25 points, 11 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 2 steals for him. So, all right, so I'm going to cut it off there, guys. When we come back, the NBA announces the top selling team in merch and the top selling player jersey. So we'll talk about that some. Also, we will talk about the games for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, including a spirited matchup between the Memphis Grizzlies and the LA Lakers. Wait until you hear about that. So, and we have another passing amongst the NBA family. So, all right, guys. So I'm going to cut it off here, and on the other side, or in the next episode, we will talk about all that. All right, guys. Until then, we'll talk soon. All right. Take care. So, my peeps, if you like what you're listening to, you can go to my website, www.allthingsbasketballwithgd.com. You can also email me at thatsportsdudegd@gmail.com. To support this podcast, you can go to my PayPal, and that email is thatsportsdudegd@gmail.com. Also on my Anchor page, I have a support button there that you can also use to help the podcast. I'm on all the major platforms like Anchor, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, Amazon, SoundCloud, YouTube, Castbox, Radio Public, Podchaser, just to name a few. And also you can find me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Clubhouse, and Fanbase. So once again, I thank you for listening and supporting this podcast, and take care and be safe.